Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. It's 10 o'clock. This is the Sandoval County Regional Communication Board meeting. Today is Tuesday, January 30th. So I'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. So Rio Rancho.
Chief Stewart still present.
Chief DeFlippo present.
Rio Rancho is present. Thank you. Town of Bernalillo.
Chief Chris Doyle present.
Chief Mike Legendry present.
Town of Bernalillo present. Santa Ana.
Lieutenant Chuck Weaver.
Lieutenant Chuck Weaver with Santa Ana. And just for the record, do you have authority to sit on this board as a designee to make decisions for Santa Ana Pueblo?
At this time, yes, sir.
Okay, we'll make note on the record of that. Who am I forgetting? Corrales.
Police Chief Vic Mandracapra, common spelling.
And I'm Anthony Martinez. I'll be presiding the meeting as chair of the Sandoval County Regional Center and Sandoval County.
Sheriff Casals present.
Good morning, Eric Masterson, Fire Chief present.
Okay, everyone's present and we have a quorum. Thank you very much. Okay, next item of business, number 3, approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the agenda. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we have an agenda. Next item, number 4, approval of the minutes. So hopefully everyone got a copy of the minutes. We tried to get them out to you in a timely manner. Is there any approval for minutes? I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes. Any second?
Second.
We have a second. Okay, any further discussion? Any amendments? Hearing none, we'll do a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're moving right along here. Okay, next item on the agenda, number 5, discussion, consideration, and approval of Open Meetings Act, resolution number 24-001. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion to approve resolution number 24-001.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve 24-001. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by, okay, Lieutenant Weaver. Second by Lieutenant Weaver. Do any further discussion on this item? Okay, I would like to go ahead and make a couple of amendments. I found a couple of typos on this resolution. Well, I gotta get the right one in front of me. Where it says, whereas upon adoption of the resolution number 69-21.1, we need to reflect resolution 24-001. And I also wanted to have a discussion with the members of the board. It's not really a big deal. I just feel that each membership, if we publish and post these meetings to be open to the public and all agencies, I think the address here is only for Idalia. I wanted to have an open discussion amongst the board. I feel that each entity that's represented on this board should at least post in a respectful area, probably where you have your council meetings or your clerk's office. So I'm open for input, comments, suggestions. Does that sound like a good idea? We can amend that to say they shall be posted in each entity, and so, because we don't know where we're always going to have the meeting. We've been having the meeting here in Corrales, and we don't mind hosting, but we could go to Rio Rancho, we could go to Sandoval, we could go to Santa Ana, Town of Bernalillo. So
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I agree with that. I think we just keep it as generic as that every entity will post it at their respective designated public area,
Okay,
whatever that may be, whether they post it on a wall somewhere, whether they post it, online. I think if we just kind of keep it like that, I think that's a good amendment to make.
Mr. Chair,
Chief Steele.
was this on the agenda when it was sent out so we could review it prior to this meeting?
Chief Steele, for clarification, was the resolution on the agenda or the amendments?
The resolution,
The resolution was on the agenda.
this resolution was on the agenda?
Yes, sir, Chief Steele. It's item number 5, discussion and consideration of approval, Open Meetings Act, resolution number 24-001.
I mean, I see it on the agenda. Was the actual resolution that we could read it on the agenda?
I
Yeah.
believe, Manager Madrid, when you sent everything out, you sent the attachments I sent you, correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
And Chief Steele, also just for clarification, since I'm the chair and preside the meetings, we've been utilizing our clerk's office and our website, which we've been posting the agenda items and the meetings on our web.
Okay. I
Does
just
that
don't
clarify
remember
that?
seeing it. I'm not saying it wasn't there. I just don't remember seeing it.
No, I just want to clarify with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I could assure you, I'm doing my best to try to get this stuff out to the public. The Sandoval County Regional Board doesn't have their own website or anything, so we're trying to utilize the entity that I'm with. So
Okay.
it could change in the future, I guess, but right now, we're just trying to utilize the resources we do have.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So for clarity, can you repeat what you said, Chief Masterson?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think you just replaced the 1500 Idalia with, will be posted in a public access point at the discretion of the entity. So wherever, I think you just keep it vague like that unless there's any opposition. And that way, again, everyone does it a little bit differently, whether they do it online or whether they do it hanging on a wall, whatever it may be, it's at least it's in a public access point. Just keep it generic like that.
Okay, let me see if I got this right. So we would like to amend number 4, location notices of the meetings. We're going to scratch out 1500 Idalia, and we're going to put the postings will be posted in a public access point at the discretion of the entity.
Location at the discretion of the entity. Public access location at the discretion of the entity, meaning the location is at the discretion, not.
Location, public access location at the discretion of the entity.
There you go.
Okay. Is that, so that there's an amendment to this as stated. Do I hear a roll call for the amendment?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept both amendments, the one on page 1 as well, the resolution number, along with the second amendment for that change there. I make a motion to approve or to adopt those 2 modifications to this.
Okay, so we have a motion to adopt both modifications to clean up the resolution. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, with second. Any further discussion? Any further changes? Hearing none, roll call. Since this is a resolution, we need to do a roll call vote. So City of Rio Rancho, how do you vote?
We'd like to abstain from vote.
Okay, Rio Rancho would like to abstain from the vote. Town of Bernalillo,
We'll vote for it, yes.
was that a yeah?
Yes.
Yes. Town of Bernalillo, yes. Sandoval County, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes. Town of Corrales, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes. And Santa Ana Pueblo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda. Number 6, discussion and consideration and approval of a resolution requesting the state auditor to conduct a special audit for the Sandoval County Regional Emergency Communications Center, resolution number 24-002.
Mr. Chairman.
Chief Masterson.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I don't think it's any secret at this point in time that the future of the SCRECC, the future of the PSAP here in Sandoval County is changing. I think that everyone has been briefed on the changes of the city of Rio Rancho obtaining approval to create a secondary PSAP within Sandoval County through the 911 board. And I think we all have seen the letter of the city of Rio Rancho withdrawing from this current JPA. So in that spirit, I believe, as with any sort of discussion, any sort of time you have kind of a dividing of businesses, if you will, or dividing of entities, I think it's best for all parties involved to understand where they currently are at. So, Mr. Chairman, with that being said, I make a motion to adopt this resolution. And let me back up a little bit. This resolution is going to be for the state auditor to come in and help us just figure out what's what, basically. As we move forward with creating these 2 separate PSAPs in Sandoval County, I think we need to understand what's what, and having the state auditor come in and look at that, I think is going to be our best way forward. So let me remake the motion. I make a motion to approve resolution 24-002 to request the state auditor to come in and do a special audit of the SCRECC so that we can proceed forward with the changes that are coming.
Okay, Chief Masterson. We have a motion on the floor to accept resolution 24-002. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a second. Okay, further discussion. Open the floor for discussion.
Mr. Chair.
Chief.
First, I'd like to, with your approval, to pass out a letter from the state auditor that has actually been sent to all of our respective governing body members. Hopefully everyone has had the opportunity. This was sent out on Friday from the state auditor, but I'd like to hand it out to the board in the event that you guys haven't had the opportunity to read it.
Absolutely. As long as you make sure we have a copy for our minutes, and if you can please, if you have an extra copy for our clerk.
That being said, Mr. Chair, I believe having an item like this on the agenda for approval is a little post haste. To ask for an audit from the state auditor, I think prior to even inquiring about what the capital fund or what any of the assets are within the SCRECC, is a little bit maybe irresponsible on our part to incur an additional cost to all of the JPA members when we've had all that information from the beginning. When the letter was sent out back in November that we were seeking separation from the JPA, no response was given by any entity on this board to us. And to then draft letters and send things to the state auditor requesting an audit of such is inappropriate. And I believe that Rio Rancho has been very open from the beginning as far as what the plan was, and we've tried to find the amicable resolution to finding what works best for all entities, Rio Rancho being included. So with that being said, the state auditor has given a understanding that the JPA is not a standalone entity, and it is not within their purview to perform such an audit. It is up to the board ultimately if we would like to hire a third-party entity to come audit all of the assets. Rio Rancho is certainly transparent and open and willing to do that. I believe it's a unnecessary incurred cost, considering we haven't even talked about it as a JPA to talk about the assets and what that looks like as far as a separation. So I do believe that removing this agenda item, giving us the opportunity to present the information or have it be requested so that we can at least know what we were even asking for in the first place for an audit.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Any further discussion on the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Chief?
though, Chief DeFilippo, I understand where you're coming from in that sense, and I think there's a lot to be discussed over the next 17 months here that we have to kind of consider and think about and move forward. I think an audit is going to take time, whether we do, regardless of how we do it. I'm reading this letter here. I do believe that the state auditor actually does have the authority to conduct this audit. I think it would be a discussion with obviously the state auditor to have outside of this letter to maybe try to identify the scope a little bit more and proceed forward. My proposal would be that we go ahead and pass this resolution so that we have it. If the auditor still continues to come back and say that this is not within his scope, then that's obviously something this resolution becomes a moot point. But I think having this resolution as we move forward so that we can have those discussions with the state auditor and with any other respected party, I think is a wise move on our part. Any audit we do is going to take time. The quicker we can get this in place and start those conversations, I think the better off we are as a group for both PSAPs moving forward to identify the different assets and the different financials that exist. So, Mr. Chairman, with that, I'll stand for any additional questions, but just some additional thoughts to what Chief DeFilippo said.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Any further discussion on the board?
Mr. Chair.
Chief Steele.
Just for the record, can we get the name of the person who drafted Resolution 24-002?
Chief Steele, I do not know who drafted this. It was asked for me to add to the agenda. Does anyone on the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'd be
Chair,
happy
Chief.
to open that up. Wayne Johnson, County Manager, was one who helped draft this resolution. Mr. Johnson, I don't know if you have anything to comment on? If we can.
Yeah, I'll allow it. Yep. Mr. Johnson, thank you.
Mr. Chair, members, I did a rewrite on it. It was originally drafted by the county attorney. So there was a change or a mistake that was made because it was originally drafted from the Board of County Commissioners. So I made some changes on that, but I did contribute to the resolution itself. And I'll answer any questions you might have.
Does the board, I'll go ahead and entertain this. Just direct your questions, address the chair, and we'll see if we'll have Wayne Johnson answer your questions appropriately. Does that sound okay with the board? Yeah. Okay. Chief Steele, did you have a question?
Well, I have a follow-up question. I don't have one for Mr. Johnson per se.
Oh, okay.
I'll just sit down. If you need me,
All right.
come back up.
Thank you very much, sir. Chief Steele, you have the floor.
Good. I would also like to pass this letter out. It's dated December 15th. It's from Mr. Johnson to the State Auditor's Office requesting the state audit. I guess my question to the board is, was he acting on our behalf, the boards? Because I don't remember us voting on that. Just point of clarification. And if possible, I would like to pass this letter out so everybody has it.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and entertain that. Do you have a copy for our clerk and for dispatch of taking the minutes?
I believe so.
Okay. And when you sit back down, I'll hopefully answer your question.
Thank you. Yeah.
Did you have more to add?
Chief Steele, no, so we didn't vote on this. We haven't, discussed this. So I would say no. I believe Mr. Johnson is, so I guess let me back up. there's a lot of stuff happening. Really, it's really fluid outside of this board. My last meeting that we held here, I felt really ambitious about moving this board to a different direction. I was suggesting out-of-state trainings and trying to come up with committees of working groups of fire and police. And then I found out from our executive staff, our mayor and manager, that City of Rio Rancho sent a letter that you're leaving the JPA. So I don't know if it's because of my meeting but anyways, I am out of the loop. I really honestly, some of the information I'm getting is from the communications amongst our executive staff. There's a lot of conversations of counselors, managers, mayors, lawyers, and no one has addressed the board officially that I know of that we're vacating, that you guys are going to get your own PSAP in Sandoval County. So I believe this is just the steps to take to figure out our next direction amongst managers and mayors and counselors and lawyers.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question, because
So the answer is no.
no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my last question, I think, is who sponsored Resolution 24002? If they wrote it.
I did. So, Mr. Chairman,
Wait,
I just
hold
want
on.
for the record.
The chief still has the floor.
Sorry.
So Chief Still, just for point of clarification, sponsored or who put it on the agenda?
Basically, who sponsored it, wanting it on the agenda.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman.
Chief Masterson.
No, there was, and to your point, Chief Steele, you're right. There was no discussion. There was no vote about this letter. This letter was from one representative, one member entity, if you will, but it was directly from the county, not from the SCRECC. So this was from the county to the state auditor. The subject has SCRECC in it, but it was not a board authorized thing. That being said, we don't have to necessarily authorize anything that our officials do at any given time. What I will say about this, though, is again, I guess I'm a little bit concerned on, or curious is why the hesitation to proceed with an audit. I think there's a paragraph in here that speaks volumes, and to Chief Martinez's point too, up until me just saying this out loud, for example, the city of Rio Rancho leaving the JPA was not something that was discussed at this board either. It was, nor were any of us included in the email that when it initially went out. That came from the city manager to the respected entities at a senior level. So we got it all third party. But regardless of that, this resolution right here, this last paragraph in Mr. Johnson's letter, I think speaks to what we're trying to do. The primary objective is to create a seamless transition from one fiscal agent to whichever member of the SCRECC assumes those responsibilities. The county doesn't know or is assuming that it's going to be them. Whichever one ends up being the financial responsibilities, we want to create a seamless transition. I think that we are all of the same mindset that as this proceeds forward, we want to make sure that there is no gap in service. That includes making sure that financials are in check for both PSAPs. So I don't think I'm speaking out of turn in this letter to address Chief DeFilippo's point. The county is willing to fund this special audit. So we're not requesting funds from the SCRECC. But I do believe, again, with a 17-month timeline, we're already a month and a half into this process after we receive the letter. The sooner we can get this going, the better. I don't think, to your point, Chief DeFilippo, I'm not saying that there's any concern for anything. I don't think that the city is hiding anything. I'm just saying, you said that we've been transparent. I believe this board has been transparent. The city has had good audits. I'm not questioning any of that. But I think we need to look at the specific funds of the SCRECC. Where are they at? What are the capital assets, finances, and where are we at with compliance in order for us to move forward and create 2 sustainable PSAP centers that are going to benefit every citizen and visitor of any jurisdiction within Sandoval County.
Okay,
Mr. Chair.
Chief DeFilippo.
One thing I would like to address, since we're reading parts of letters that were sent, I do want to make it very clear that the state auditor The letter that they sent was in direct response to County Manager Wayne Johnson's letter to them. And it does state in this letter, an engagement of this type would not fall under the audit rule related to agency-initiated special audits since the RECC board created by a JPA. So his response is, this is not the state auditor's responsibility to do an audit. Therefore, again, I go back to this should be removed as an item specifically requesting the state auditor conduct an audit. That's what the discussion item is. That's what the agenda topic is specifically to that. And that's what should be removed as the response from the state auditor is that this is not in their purview.
Okay, thank you, Chief Delfilippo.
Mr. Chairman,
Chief Masterson.
last thing I'll say here is I understand, Chief Delfilippo, what you're saying. This resolution authorizes us to initiate that conversation from a board level with the state auditor and talk about those possibilities. Again, I don't believe that we have anything to hide and anything to fear in having that conversation. This resolution allows us to start that process of this board instigating or initiating, I should say, that conversation with the state auditor. So, you know, as you pointed out, this letter was a response to the county's letter. Now the board is taking up a resolution to move forward. If he continues to come back and say that this is not something under his scope, then obviously we'll bring that back to the next board meeting and we'll have a discussion about maybe a third-party audit. But passing this resolution allows us as board members, as a board, to initiate that conversation with the state auditor, not any one individual entity. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to call the question and move for a vote.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor. We've had discussion. We'll go ahead and call the question. It's a resolution. So we'll do a roll call vote. Sandoval County, how do you vote?
Yes.
Town of Bernalillo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Santa Ana Pueblo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Corrales, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rio Rancho, how do you vote?
No.
Okay, resolution has passed. We'll move on to the next item. Item number 7, Sandoval County Regional Emergency Communications Manager's Update and Discussion. Jolene, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. First on the agenda, I have a budget update. And as stated in previous JPA meetings, one of the flaws of the JPA contract was the fact that I'm supposed to present a budget every October to the board, which does not coincide with the City of Rio Rancho's budget flow. So I will not have an actual budget until April when it is finalized. As far as what we've done with our budget, we've actually, last year and again this year, we assessed the needs and the continuation of the previous fiscal year purchases. We also looked at contract services and materials for the job. We also monitored the needs and requests for employees from a line level management. We operated within our budget and within our E911 grant. Our E911 grant, as you all know, pays for the 911 phone system, the training within the state, which does not include out-of-state training and equipment related to 911 only. The next on my agenda, I have it's something that just started. It's called location-based routing, or LBR. The FCC just recently adopted rules to improve wireless 911 routing. On January 25th, the FCC now requires wireless carriers to implement allocation-based routing, which entails routing 911 calls based on the location of the caller instead of the cell tower that is transmitting the call. Currently, T-Mobile has already deployed the LBR, or the location-based routing, and test calls, and they will begin tomorrow, which includes our center on that. So just to be aware of what's coming up. Next, our GIS next gen. I have reached out to all of the entities, GIS directors, managers, to ensure that they have all of the latest information regarding what's going on within the state. This is going to be very important as we separate. And there's a new center based on the next gen that's basically around the corner. We've talked about this in previous meetings as well. So all of the member agencies and their GIS departments have been sent all the latest information from the GIS department. So I wanted to ensure that they had that information and to move forward. I think you, Mr. Chair, asked about the 911 outage that we recently had.
That was an item asked to be added to the agenda. I don't know who actually said, well, Chief Masterson, was that you?
Yep.
Okay, yep,
Okay.
thank you.
So it's a little bit lengthy, but I'll go through the what occurred and what's currently going on.
And Mr. Chairman,
Chief Masterson?
Manager, I just for kind of clarification, I mean, it sounds like things happened quickly, notifications were made. I think there were a few gaps on some of the code reds that went out, but I think that was addressed quickly and you guys got the corrections out there. So this isn't, you know, we're not mad about anything. I'm just curious, like what happened with that system and then how did everyone react? How did the system work? How did the redundancies that have been built in work, et cetera? So just curious kind of what all went down with that.
Yeah,
And also if you could just update where we're at with the repairs.
no problem.
Yeah, thank you.
So currently, I believe it was on the 17th or the 18th that there was a surge or some sort of flow of a gradual decrease in our lines. The center has 15 incoming, so think of it as 15 highways flowing into the center. The majority of those 911 lines were knocked out except for 2. So through the weekend, the Lumen techs were out on site trying to repair, figure out what was going on. Through the weekend, I believe they brought up 3 lines, so gave us a total of 5 additional lines. At the time, we have a make busy switch within the center, which allows for us to route calls to Santa Fe, which is our sister center. I did not flip the make busy switches. We were still receiving calls within those 2 lines. We weren't busy, or the 5 lines that we had, we weren't busy. As a redundancy, what happens when those 5 lines are overridden with more incoming calls, it's an automatic transfer to Santa Fe, even without flipping the switch. So it automatically happens. Even with 15 lines that typically feed the center, we don't have 15 personnel to man that many lines on staff, regardless, you know, on a given day. So currently we are still working off of the 5 lines. They have replaced all of the equipment in that back room, which was already all brand new. They replaced the equipment, all of the cables that feed into that line as well. For some reason, they're still trying to figure out. I believe they have one of their main engineers flying in today. They don't know what caused this, everything to get fried, basically within that room. Not just that room. It was with the connection throughout the lines and everything else. So they're still trying to figure that out. They have replaced a lot of the equipment. It's something they're still working on. We're still working off of the 5 lines, which it hasn't impacted the center. Like I said, any additional 911 calls are automatically, that's the redundancy built in, automatically goes to Santa Fe. They've been aware of the situation from the onset. They've been using ZiaNet to get in touch with our center in the event that they are taking in calls, because if they go to route that 911 call back to the center, it may just roll back to them if our center's overridden with, you know, more than 5 calls. So they've been using ZiaNet on the radio to relay information so that nothing is impacted.
Are you complete with your report then?
Yeah, on the 911,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Yep, thank you for that update.
And thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Manager Madrid. Does anybody have any questions for Manager?
Mr. Chairman.
Chief Masterson?
So again, yeah, I think, you know, kudos to you guys catching it fast and grabbing it. I know the one issue with the code red list, have we been able to address that so that that first code red list hits all of us? I know there were several people that didn't get it initially. You and I talked really quickly and we were able to get it right back out. Was it just a list, picking the wrong list or whatever it may have been?
No, I'm sorry, I'm having some feedback. I believe I spoke to Christy, who actually manages our code red system. I believe that might have been Chief Martinez and Chief Manager Capper that were the 2 that did not receive that information on the initial. We sent out 2 different groups. So we ensured that they were on that group. They received that information, I believe, on the second group
Yes.
that we selected, not the first one. because we were sending them out to 2 different groups built into that code red system.
Okay, but
And-
the goal is to get everyone on that first one. Okay,
Right, that's correct. And yes, that has been rectified.
okay, cool.
Okay. Any other questions for Manager Madrid?
Mr. Chairman, I have one additional question, just clarification on not related to the 911 issue.
Okay.
Manager Madrid, you said that your prepared budget will be ready for our April meeting, is that correct?
That is correct.
Or is there gonna be, at what point in the city's budget process is April? Like, has it already been approved by the governing body, or is it still in its tentative terms, or where is it at in the city's process come April?
So in April, the city manager finalizes the budget and then forwards it to the governing body. And at that time, the city of Rancho mayor delivers a rebuttal to the city manager in late April. So I should have something late April, early May.
Has the city council already approved the budget at that point? I guess just for clarification.
Yes.
When you bring it to us, the city has already,
No, I'm sorry. I just was
Okay.
corrected. No, that's incorrect.
okay, so
Not,
you're bringing us a proposed budget come April for review by the board.
it should be, no, I should have a finalized approved budget in late April.
So we will
May.
not see the budget, the board will not see the budget, we will not know our cost allocations until they are finalized by the city. Is that correct?
Yes, they have to go through the process of going through the,
My point is, should we not have a heads up about what our budgets are going to be prior to that going to the city?
I'm not sure when our next meeting is.
Well, I think we need to, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to propose that we have a budget meeting, maybe in March or sometime, so that we can discuss those numbers before we see them for the final in April and have to vote on them without being able to discuss that with our member entities. Just a proposal to set us a budgetary meeting in March or something, so we can discuss that a little bit ahead of time before that goes to city council and is finalized.
And that's the thing, is it may not be finalized. It's a proposed budget, so it may not be accurate, or it may not be exactly
I
what.
understand. In March is what you're saying. Yeah, I understand that, but at least we'll have a better idea at that point versus just in April expecting a vote and none of us have seen the budget at that point in time. That's my point.
Yes. Mr. Chair, Chief Masterson. Okay, Manager Madrid, I guess that's a little concerning to me as well, that we need to have a discussion about what's a draft budget, what's proposed, what your vision is for the year as far as employees and everything, so we can at least have an idea, so we can go to our respected council and in our budget meetings and plan for that, whether it's an increase, a decrease. So Chief Still, would you like to comment more on the budget process?
Yeah, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair, I'm not opposed to us having a meeting and going over what we know. The problem is we haven't even started negotiations with our police/dispatch union yet, and that will affect the budget. So sometimes the meeting or those negotiations are quick, sometimes they're not. So I just don't want you thinking if we have a budget meeting in March, we will know all those answers. We will probably know more about what we're looking at as far as programs or software, equipment, stuff like that, but salaries, we probably won't have that answer yet. So I understand our budget cycles are off with each other and it's not ideal, and we brought that up before, but there is that union negotiation aspect that we really have no control over.
Thank you, Chief Still, for clarifying. Yes, I understand and I respect those processes. We just need to look at some numbers so we have an idea how to project. So if you're in favor, we can schedule a meeting come in March. And I think it's actually a good idea that we meet more often than a quarterly, since we're going through this transition. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to have to be just talking about in the near future. So, okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, item number 8, this is a section that I informed everyone that I'd like to add for any sort of public comment. Members in the public, if they'd like to address the board or tell the dispatchers what a great job they're doing, this is your opportunity. And I don't know if we have anyone online? No? Okay. Anybody like to come up and address the public or the board? Okay. That was easy. Number 10. Announcements and future agenda items. So I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and plan for a meeting now in March.
Mr. Chairman, you jumped over item 9 there.
Oh, did I? Oh, I did. Thank you. Number 9, open discussion amongst members. Members have any discussion, business they'd like to address the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Chief Masterson.
actually, never mind, I withdraw. Never mind.
I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
Not to beat a dead horse, but, we don't like to believe that Rio Rancho is hiding anything, but I don't think it's unreasonable to speculate that that could be the case since they seem resistant to this audit. So with that said, that's my opinion. Take it or leave it.
Okay, Sheriff. Anyone else like to have a discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Chief Del Flippo.
I would like to just comment on a couple things. Since I've been a member of this JPA board going on a little more than 2 years, we meet quarterly, we set agenda items, we discuss our items here on the board, as we should. And when the letter was sent out back in November, that I believe what should not have come to a surprise to anybody, that it was, time, I think, that the JPA has run its course for, I think, the best interest of all members of the board, that Rio Rancho would look to split. So we followed the rules, and based on when the next meeting was, which was today, we drafted agenda items to be on this agenda to discuss capital fund, to discuss the assets of the SCRECC, as we should in a JPA meeting. Unfortunately, the agenda items that were put on this agenda were to discuss auditing these systems before we even had an opportunity to present them to the board. And so those items were unfortunately removed, because at that point, there's no sense in me presenting capital fund and assets if prior to me even having the opportunity to do that, we're voting on requesting the state auditor perform an audit, which they have clearly stated they are not going to do an audit of us. It is not the state's responsibility. They do not identify us as a standalone entity to request that of them, clearly stated in the letter sent to all of us. So I think it's unfortunate that we've now passed a resolution that is not going to expedite us getting to June 30th of 2025 in a smooth transition. We've thrown a delay in the whole process rather than pull that off the agenda item. Let's talk about how we get the capital fund and the asset list to all of us appropriately, maybe in a special session meeting, and let's get to the end resolve of giving us all our own PSAPs. Unfortunately, now we have not given us the opportunity to even do that. So to say that we are resistant to an audit, that's not true. We are resistant to wasting our time in continuously presenting to the state auditor a problem that they have told us in a letter drafted to all of us that they are not going to do that. So I would like to stand by again. We are happy to open our books and sit with anybody and send out the information and get to the end resolve. If anyone's willing to work in that manner, I believe the JPA board meetings are the place for us to do that and not have these one-offs where everyone's getting information from any one of us in a silo, or having sidebar meetings where Rio Rancho's not even included. So I don't believe that we are working in the most efficient manner to resolve this issue.
Thank you, Chief. Chief Masterson.
I have two different things really quick. One, I actually have a question really quick. I want to say it was November, there was a need to spend another $50,000, give or take, for the final payment of the CAD from like 4 or 5 years ago. And I thought that was going to be on this agenda, and I just remembered it. And just curious, whatever happened with that payment? Manager Madrid, I don't know if you're able to comment on that.
Yes, we did remove it from that. I believe it was on the consent calendar for the city of Rio Rancho. Initially, when that CAD project started, it was with the very first manager of the RACC. Throughout the years it took quite a few years for the process of this CAD to be uploaded. The longest portion of that CAD problem was the historical data, which was something I wanted to actually talk about today as well. But historical data that was migrated into the servers. That took quite some time because there was quite a lot of years of data that needed to be migrated. At the time that CAD project was closed out, before we received a final invoice, I spent the last month combing through the invoice that you are talking about and comparing it to past invoices to ensure that we weren't double paying for something. And I did find one discrepancy that they are now editing from that invoice. So roughly about $4,200 is going to be removed from that invoice, and we should be receiving another final invoice. But that was part of the initial CAD project that those funds did pay for.
Okay, so whatever's left will come to our next meeting, and we can talk about getting that final payment made.
That's correct.
Okay, cool. And then the second point I have, kind of in the spirit of making sure that we move forward and get everyone on the same page when it comes to 2 different PSAPs, I hope to be able to work with Manager Madrid, you and your team next week. We have a consultant coming in. We want to be able to make sure that we identify, best practices moving forward for your piece, for the City of Rio Rancho's PSAP, frankly, and for the SCRECC PSAP moving forward. So just kind of understanding how things are working. I'll reach out to you next week and talk to you more about maybe sitting down with the consultant, talking to them. Again, the end result is just making sure that both PSAPs can back each other up, they're redundant, and that every citizen in Sandoval County is taken care of, and our dispatchers are taken care of. So I'll be working with you guys next week on that a little bit. So
That sounds good, Vice Chair.
Chairman, that's all I got.
All right.
Thank you. That's my concern as well. I just want to ensure a seamless transition for the citizens and for the staff both involved.
Yes. Okay. I just want to address the board. As chair, I'm going to do my best to just inform every one of you as I get information. We may be calling special meetings. We may be putting more meetings, maybe a meeting a month. I know everyone has busy schedules, but we need to be all on the same page. We need to share information across us without violating any sort of quorum. But we have a lot of work to do. And, respectfully, Chief Del Flippo, I understand, what you said. Some of this information, I get a little late. So, and I was kind of wondering why those items were removed. Anybody that sent me items to put on the agenda, I try to post them and put them on there. So, and that's for any entity. I know Manager Madrid helps me out with that. We send notice to everybody, any items you'd like to have on the agenda, and the only response I got was City of Rio Rancho and Sandoval County. So again, I'm opening it up to all entities. If there's something you guys want to discuss or clarification, please reach out to me, and if it's something we have to post on the meeting, we will do that as everyone's here and present and has a say. Okay, so let's move on to number 10. Make sure I don't skip items here. Announcements and future agenda items. So I know that we want to discuss, have a budget meeting, and I'm thinking March was suggested. Does that sound good? And
Mr. Chair, I would like to make an amendment to that. Honestly, April 15th will be the soonest we can get any kind of budget data back to you guys that will be accurate.
April 15th?
April 15th.
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Chief LeBeau,
Chief.
when does this, I'm just trying to understand, when does the city pass their final budget?
The final budget isn't passed until sometime in June when it goes in front of the governing body. So it is all a presented budget, and none of it is finalized until that occurs in late June. Actually, I even believe it's July. So, but we won't have any accurate information as far as what the budget looks until April 15th. That is the best timeframe in which we can produce an accurate document.
Okay, and Mr. Chairman, maybe I misunderstood. I'm just trying to clarify. So modifications can still be made after April 15th. If there's a question from the board member or there's a discussion point that needs to be had, there can still be changes made before the city adopts the final budget.
Absolutely, and that is always in the board's best interest to have the most accurate data and information. If there are any edits needed to be made, then that could be presented at that time.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I apologize. I withdraw that. I misunderstood. I apologize.
Okay, so we have clarification. So am I hearing a meeting in April then? Would that be sufficient after the 15th? So I'm looking at the calendar, maybe the 23rd? Okay, so we'll just stick with our regularly scheduled meeting for the 23rd. We're kind of covering two items here, announcements of future agenda items. Would anybody like to add any future agenda items now? And I'll make note of that and try to make sure we get them on the next agenda. Okay, hearing none. Announcements. I have an announcement somewhere. Oh, National Telecommunication Week. I looked it up. It's April 14th through the 20th. So do you guys have any plans, or how can this board support you in appreciation of all the communication workers? Do you have anything scheduled, or? I'm starting early this year because
I appreciate that, Mr. Chair. It is National Telecommunicators Week during that week of April, and it is celebrated through nationwide with all the other PSAPs. We usually, what we do is we open it up to our staff to sort of build out their week of events and how they want to celebrate. As our admin staff, as we did last year, we put on a barbecue for the day shift and night shift. So, in years past, I have always asked for support from the board. So however you want to support that time for the telecommunicators at the RECC, I would be greatly appreciated.
yeah, just keep us posted, and if you have anything special you want us to contribute to, or we'll maybe plan like the years past where different entities pick up different days for lunch or snacks or something. But yeah, keep us in the loop, definitely. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Now go to item number 11. So next board meeting is scheduled for April 23rd. Does that conflict with our schedules?
It does. It's a staff meeting day, but we can move our staff meeting to 1 if need be.
Okay, so we can go ahead and keep that locked in. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, so April 23rd at 10 o'clock. Would you guys like to have the meeting here again, or would you like to go to another agency and host? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and schedule the meeting here, and we'll be sending out information for agenda items in a timely manner. Okay. That completes our all of our items on our agenda. Thank you, everyone, for attending this meeting. I know everyone has busy schedules. I'll take a motion for item number 12, adjournment. So moved.
Second.
Second? Okay, thank you.